Welcome everyone to LOS Scholastic Champs. We got a show match here today from our winners of the previous tournament. So it's going to be a best of 3 for bragging rights and telling the other team that they suck and you're awesome and stuff like that. So we're looking forward to casting some familiar faces again. We're getting a little excited about seeing some of these names. I know you're talking about Don't Touch My Rice. Shout out to that guy for actually playing really cool last time we cast. But I am once again here with Hail Monkey Man. So yeah, welcome back. It actually, I don't know, time is a concept. I feel like it wasn't so long ago that we were casting these guys together. So happy to be with you.
It felt like it was a long time ago. I think that's how probably a lot of these students feel. It's been nearly an entire semester, and they're still trying to get ready for finals, I guess. I'm glad that I don't have to deal with that anymore. Maybe I'll go to secondary school, who knows? But yeah, we got some familiar faces, and I think this is a really cool concept, not just for show match-wise here, Zombie, but we get to see teams that, you know, you can always say, you know what, we won ours. Well, we won ours. Well, you never played each other. So this is a chance to finally throw down, show down, and see who's better. And we get to see Divine Child High School versus Gretna High. That's Michigan versus Nebraska. A weird, I guess, Big Ten matchup of high schools, if you will, if you watch a little bit of football and basketball. But this is gonna be a fun one. And just like you were talking about, we get to see Don't Touch My Rice, and I think we're expecting them to really be that front leader here for that Divine Child school in particular.
Yeah, exactly. We do have a couple of the standout stars, I suppose, but everyone playing a part, of course, for their team. But Don't Touch My Rice, kind of leading there for Divine Child, and then for Gretna, we got Zachy Poopin, which we had a lot of fun saying last time as well. So Gretna won the first back-to-school event, weekend #1, and then Divine Child won the second back-to-school event. So we can see who's actually best coming in here. In this little show match, which we have the map starting now, actually. We're going to be getting on to Ascent for this Scholastic Champ show match. Shout out to League OS for powering this event as well. And let's get into Ascent here for map #1. What do we have coming up for attack side? I just had it up. And then I clicked off. All right, so Define High School will be on attack to start things off.
Yeah, this is one of those more... Ascent is pretty default, but we've seen some fluxes into duelist changes that I think really has highlighted how much of the meta is shifting, not in full force, but just enough. The fact that Gray is even floating on ISO really reflects that. I've seen that particular agent start become a full kind of composite tip of the spear, if you will. Doing what duelists do best, but doing it in kind of opposite of where a Hungry Reyna would. They protect themselves and everyone around them. A Phoenix is already locked in, and then you also can get very loud. A Breach being at least floated by Eklo on the side of Gretna, but otherwise, it's about how you want to be able to bring in that double initiator. So pretty standard. Eklo is going to be using some of that aggression on the Aftershock, but I want to see what gets locked in by Don't Touch My Rice. They're teasing us.
Your agent.
They are. Hopefully. And not forgetting to actually choose. One guy's PC crashed, so
there you go.
That was not the suspense.
Okay.
That was actually just a technical problem.
That's unfortunate. Nice. Okay. All right. Well, luckily the game forgives, but it doesn't forget. So
gonna hold it against them, I guess. It's a little unfortunate because I liked what you were putting down there for the analysis. Yeah, actually, seeing the new agent is going to be completely new for me. Actually, I have been on vacay for a couple of weeks.
Okay.
And then I believe like the time which he was actually out wasn't allowed for the tournament that I was prepping for. So this is gonna be really interesting. The new duelists, I believe a Chinese character.
Yes.
And what does all actually end up being? Kill contracts.
Yeah.
That 1v1 setup.
That particular ultimate has turned into a who can I take off the field? How can I suddenly make the entirety of this map a power play? To either if you know someone has continued to peek you, ego check you in mid or something, and you want to be able to get rid of them, well, then you just throw down the kill contract, and then it's about who comes out with the dub. And I'm going to tell you right now, Zombie,
yeah,
it's every match that I've gotten into it's always been facing against an ISO. I've never been with an ISO, and it is a jump scare for all of my teammates. And they're like, "Oh no!" Whoa. And we all stop what we're doing. We wait, And when they win, we're like, yeah! We just go crazy for them. And I think it's really reinvigorated, like, entering the gulag and getting hype.
Yeah, that's what everyone was describing it as, entering the gulag, which we might be able to see here today. I don't think we actually got to see that actually locked in, did we?
No, sadly.
Don't touch my rice. So yeah, so maybe we'll see it here, I guess, today. It'll be experimental, but I think we still have some problems with a particular player. I think he's getting back in now. Also, you're back, great. So
yes,
I think that's all we need.
Should be good. I think we got everyone. Okay, all right. So everyone got a moment to try and settle down, and it did look like even if we weren't going with an ISO, we did at least see a Phoenix, and they are going to be keeping their picks because you can't just use the delay of the stream and use that to your advantage. No, you stay with your pick. You got to be able to keep that. But a Phoenix is also a skirmisher in terms of a duelist. They can be very crafty, and you want to be able to play off of them almost immediately with some of those curveball flashes. And so going into that, that's a very kind of close quarters combat style of duelist that I can't wait to see how that can maybe work and counter against the Jets that really got nerfed going into this entire new meta. But I feel like everyone that plays Jet here, Zombie, has gotten better. We've really cut down on who was the terrible Jets and which Jets are actually still good.
I mean, I'm pretty sure ladder is still full of Jets that are pretty terrible.
It is.
But, yeah, but you know, I think it was also a role that I encourage those who were the fearless, I suppose, in Valorant. And sometimes when they learn to control that, they were fantastic. So, you know, it wasn't on ladder at any point in which I played the game, but in the games themselves, it was great. And now we're back into our agent select. So, have they reversed or? Oh no, there it is. I was reading the wrong names, totally in reverse. But they're just trolling with a bunch of geckos now.
The gecko herd, if you will. That's okay. All right.
Okay,
so
all right.
This one a little bit more standard. We do still get the totally icy on that Phoenix, and I think if I remember icy from the last time we got to see them, they in fact had ice in their veins. They were a great output style duelist, and opposite of them, this is pretty much a mirror comp, save for a couple. The duelists are different, and Initiator of the Sky, which is going to give a lot more information. Eklo, we're hoping that they can really pull off the big Aftershock and stun combos. And I also watched that YouTube recently, Eklo, about how those Aftershocks work really, really well off of A side.
Yeah, it's interesting though to see that come into effect, I guess. Like the non just super standard Sky coming in. I mean, that was also a big, I guess, point of a lot of the patches recently. So always a little sad because I actually chose her first when I first got into Valorant, so I was really glad when she was just like apparently the thing to choose. No one was yelling at me for choosing her, unlike when I played Phoenix and no one liked him. But it is what it is, you know. But Big Breach is cool tool, I guess. But anyway, we finally in the game. Game number 1, Ascent. Once again, got to remind myself as well who's actually coming in on the attack. We do have. Why do I keep on saying this and then not having it up? Ascent is going to be Divine High School on the attack to start things off. So let us get into it. I'm actually not sure who I'm supposed to be watching, but let's just go. Let's just start hyping it up. Let's just start attacking.
That's pretty much true. I've been trying to bracket my way to the right POV this entire time, but you know. We do get to see ourselves moving into this first matchup, and really it's finding those initial touch-ups that you get from down mid, and they're playing kind of a default 2-3 split. They have themselves working over into A, at least as a peak, and immediately the first duel is lost when it comes into this position. So they're going to rerun this and reroute this back over to A, and they've actually brought Icy back up into it as well. So, yeah. I don't know why my bracket isn't actually working.
Am I crazy? Like, is that?
It wasn't working. It wasn't working. I tell you, it was not.
Okay, all right. So I'm not super crazy for that. I was like, I could do this really quickly. I could be totally professional. It just wasn't working. But I think, I mean, I hope you know what? We're just going to try to be as clear as possible with our commentary in case I'm not following the right person and everything is going a little bit sideways.
Oh,
we do have the attack onto A coming in so far. Gretna with the defense actually taking down 3 of Divine Child already. And, well, still 2 left alive. We're looking to enter in. Few doggies ready on the side here, actually picking off some health. And don't touch my rice, but nice shot there. Up against too many, though, looking like they're going to be surrounded, and it is, in fact, the case. Gretna will be taking the first round, defending the A site well.
And it was off of the initial pick that was had. I think that was a Sova duel that ended up happening straight up in mid as you had the initial death coming through. I believe that was by Q Doggies that took out Gray. And then that was just, all right, well, we're in a 2-3 split, and now we have to rotate somewhere. So they go over to A, and then Icy Chiller, when they fell onto site, they were being paranoid from one side, stunned from the other. They didn't really get to play Valorant. They just got to play sit and stare at the sky and died. So goes into a pistol, a heavy buy, of course, and an Ares and Q Doggies who is right behind this wall.
This sounds very familiar. I'm getting a lot of flashbacks right now of Q Doggies sitting behind the wall on Ascent. They're totally typical, of course, can actually be very effective, but a little bit of a silent approach, getting them at least through here, through B main. I don't know if they're actually going to be planning on making any noise. Spikes over actually on A. A little bit of an aggressive poke out from the breach here into A main. And I think they did maybe get some intel pushing back. There's actually a lot of rotating happening while we are witnessing them try to figure out how they're going to approach.
So they've looked into A, and then they're realizing that there's at least a need to kind of put a smoke down here in mid, but that's a peek out by Focus, who's going to creep out into Catwalk. They use their tailwind to try and run it back, and the majority of numbers still existing here on this A push, which you do have Eklo right behind Box. They're just doing a few squats, hanging out in the back, waiting for when eventually someone will turn, as Merc is just at least down checking in mid, but it looks like they're going to be left with just a bit of a burst in. The Guiding Light knows that someone is at least nearby. You have the reconnaissance dart, you have the flash point, and they're just trying to delay them before they can get the next 20 seconds for the plant.
I mean, it's a good delay. More of the team coming on over, but finally that burst through is going to happen. Let's see if Divine Child can actually get anything done. Eklo anchoring the site quite well, doing everything that is required to help out their team. And that is going to be the second round. I mean, Divine Child really trying to get some confusion going on there. Maybe had an opportunity to actually bust open into that A when the defenders were still a little low of numbers on the site. But yeah, that breach just worked out really well to buy some time. Eklo, as I said, doing a great job on their particular job. Holding there until the team can back them up.
You do have, let's see, we got an operator online? Yes, you do. Focus is actually already going to be peaking here out in mid, a round 3 operator. So maybe a lot of value. Don't know if they're going to be ready for that kind of power play immediately, as that recon dart will try to put them off position. But they also have that shorty, the typical wombo combo of, you know, the good old shot gun in hand. And if anyone wants to kind of, you know, fist fight you, well, they're going to receive a lot of BBs in the belly. No one came up too quickly, but mid is under contention in a big way, and it will be Focus that does get that first big shot as Uchla hits the floor.
Yeah, maybe some hope is actually contending mid, but that's kind of been dashed pretty quickly, as already Divine Child losing 2. If you got 1 apiece through all the lanes here on Ascent, totally icy, could be in some trouble. No really aggressive pokeouts from Gretna to try and pick up these kills. Very patient play here. Goat takes 1. He's looking for a second. He's going to have to back away temporarily, but buying some time as well. I know, it's just a 5-2. I mean, Don't Touch My Rice has definitely popped up before, but not getting the opportunity to do so. Focused down with the op in hand. Totally ready for this. Actually misses the shot. And Gray's managed to take down Eklo. Something could still be happening here. We have the spike actually planted on site. More than I expected. Goat not able to get that second shot. Don't Touch My Rice definitely coming in as we expected. Actually making this a potential opportunity for their first round win. But Focus comes in with that shotgun. Comes in also with the operator. The wombo combo you were talking about. Using both to perfection. And unfortunately that is going to be a third for Gretna. Divine Child. I mean, I thought 2v5, that wasn't going to work out in any which way, but they do manage to take down 2. Kind of make them sweat a little bit.
Ended up finding at least a few players. And An early timeout, I don't mind it because at this point you've had an actual eco break that goes into this. So let's explore that here, Zombie. So you've got I believe it is Divine Child. Yes, they are on attack, and at this point in time, they weren't expecting that immediate kind of power buy, which that's a huge investment, honestly, into round number 2 or round number 3 rather. You've kept all creds, maybe simply a ghost being bought over for focus, and then ultimately you were able to kind of stop them at the door, and that is someone that they want to be able to get rid of in a big way. Now, are they the biggest killer? No. It's you know, they're just kind of a very balanced stack. Unkilled so far is unlucky, and they're gonna have to explore what that option is to try and get through that Sentinel. And I do like the idea of a force here. You're looking at maybe some Spectres and even a Stinger, as they want to maybe turn this into a cluster, but they've been unable to drag Gretna to come out to those fights. They've stayed so far back.
Yeah, exactly. And I really do want to applaud Gretna for showing a lot of that, I guess, wisdom, I suppose. You know, it's not just each individual player being patient and actually waiting it out, not going after those kills, especially when they think like, oh, we're on a run, we're on a tear. But then also, yeah, too unlucky, making sure to be the anchor on B side as we usually would expect from a Killjoy and being really patient about it. You know, only when their team needs them do they actually start to rotate over, so not leaving any room for maybe an over rotation. But we do have a mix-up. Speaking of the Killjoy, actually putting all of the utility on A, perhaps, you know, reading into the favoritism that Divine Child has been showing to that site. And now it is Divine Child's time to try and explore elsewhere. You know, they did explore mid a little bit, but the op really made that difficult. Now perhaps the time to explore B, but a very aggressive focus was probably hoping to catch them off guard, and instead is caught looking the entire wrong direction. So that didn't really work out. I mean, I guess they got a scout, I suppose.
Hey, yeah, they got to see at least where they weren't, but unfortunately, they weren't expecting that. They see only one player kind of lend into it, and now they're going to use the running back to try and burst their way through. A great use of the paranoia. They can't get full value as all the dark covers do fall. Totally Icy's going to infiltrate straight into Marketplace, so they at least got some information, but they gained no tiles, no floor, no ground. In fact, have lost a player to equalize it out to 4. Goat and the gang are throttling them. No one's stepping through that door. Great first pick, but they've gained no more.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's not going to work out. As you said, great first pick. I mean, absolutely excellent, and actually, maybe even a little bit questionable for focus, but it did happen, and that's great. But they're not able to actually make anything further happen. At the end of the day, focus still, I guess, technically getting that scout was still enough time for the team to respond. And of course, superior guns coming through here, also helping out too. And you know, it did look like a promising setup, but it's still Gretna that's controlling the game here, 4-0. Divine Child able to buy it totally and completely this time around, but Focus also being able to rebuy that operator. Otherwise, they picked it up rather and then changed out. So, similar tough scenario, I suppose, on the attacking side, as Focus does make good use of the operator this time, takes one out before the round has even really begun.
I do like that they still kept the operator onto B side, and because you know they ran the first 2 or 3 rounds to B for Unlucky, who stayed over there with the Killjoy setup, and then ultimately, great shot by Q Doggies, who gets rid of Don't Touch My Rice, and that's just keeping your power weapon against where the read is. Goat's in a tough position here out in Pizza as they want to be able to rotate away, but Gray gets all tagged by the Owl drone, and that's a hot shot straight through the wall. And they are dropping like flies. Gray, that's a flawless. Q Doggy comes up with 3.
Yeah, Q Doggy is actually having quite the game here. I mean, you talked about some of the potential standout stars, and Zacky Poo Poo, actually not displayed on the screen here, was who I called out, but Q Doggies is right behind him, and now really doing quite well in this game. Focus now also bumping up in that KDA in the last round too. It's looking a little more as expected, and it's going to be tough for Divine Child to figure out exactly what to do. I mean, as far as what they're trying to do, I feel like I don't really have a lot of qualms, right? But then some of these battles aren't really going super well for them. They are going to try and stack towards A yet again, but even that is stopped before it has really begun. Q Doggies, I mean, just almost like a menacing force by themselves, and then backed up out of this Killjoy utility. Oh, and he's going to bring out the ult as well, figuring they're all down there. There's almost a perfect lineup. There we go. Gets the opposing Sova. A bunch of tags, and yeah, Gretna looking at a 6th by the looks of it.
They are regretting going towards site A. That was cooler when I said it in my head, and it's even cooler when Unlucky presses straight up into A. You have Merc by themselves with a minute to go and very much separated from the spike. Everyone alive. This could be double flawless through the last couple of rounds. And honestly, let's define this one. This was a frustration peak initially by Icy. Merc does have a Spectre, but there is an operator straight to the old spinal cord. But this was Rice. They saw the they saw the one way get developed, and then they still kept walking forward. And you were talking about Q Doggies, who really has just been that menace. But the entire setup has been there now for the last 3 rounds. It looks like that we're gonna have no flip at all. They may move Q Doggies, but this is Divine Child being at least the tiniest bit frustrated, and they're showcasing it through the first half of this first half.
I mean, I think that's a really awesome thing to actually notice and point out. That is certainly not leading up to success when they get that first loss right off the bat, especially when it can be their standout star. Not really getting a chance to shine so far, except one almost round. Perhaps a successful breach through onto the A side at the very least. The farthest they've gotten in a little while, and actually taken down 2. 5v3 at this point as the spike has been planted. Focus coming in, however, with the jet knives. Oh, gonna miss a lot of the shots. It's gonna need to come back in. Gray with a shock dart's not gonna get too much. Maybe. I mean, they can't really do a Sova bot at this point. They could back away and try to, but I think they know what they're up against. Knives and one other, and they take down both. So, yeah, didn't need to use much utility there whatsoever. Now, a flawless for Divine Child's first round in this map.
We are collecting flawlesses like Pokemon cards on Halloween. If you think if I was giving out candy, you're dead wrong. Yeah. And honestly, there was 2 flawlesses picked up by Gretna, and then finally stemming the bleeding, putting a tourniquet on it, and saying, guys, we can hobble right back into this matchup. Divine Child gets their first round, and it took them kind of bursting with pace. They were wanting to do that initially in the previous round, but they got hammered off of that one way, and none of that was allowed to get found. They put a recon dart out here, but everyone's staying right behind the archway. Q Doggies! They're gonna jump peek. Luckily for them, they don't stick around for too long.
Yeah, perhaps now for a drone. There's the Killjoy utility this time around is on B. They swapped over to A when it was very apparent Divine Child is pushing that. Actually didn't end up succeeding in the last round, so they've moved on over. Attack your Killjoy, ult coming on, gonna push the defenders off of sight. Unfortunately, perhaps not quick enough. Q Doggy's picking up one before being able to successfully retreat, and then Unlucky finally getting a chance to shine. Well, I guess they actually have been shining for quite a bit, but I guess particularly on their sight. Not because necessarily the utility, it's just spreading fire through there and getting the successful 2 kills. Team comes in for the rest. It's a cleanup and a quick reaction to Divine Child's flawless. Gretna back in the driving seat, I suppose, still with a very, very comfy lead, 7-1.
Let's kind of look at this too. Icy, I think you and I remember totally Icy being pretty effectual as a duelist, but at least whenever we got, I think the last time we got to see them was actually on Split, but coming into Ascent so far, I mean, they haven't been able to do much of anything. This is kind of that main duelist that you want to run off of, and much of it has just kind of fallen to the dirt. It has been Q Doggies, 12-4, Unlucky at 8-1. Wherever those 2 set up, that is the Fortress of Solitude. Ain't no other heroes are setting foot in there, especially because I like the setup that Unlucky actually has. They're kind of set up to receive, and it's really receive and punish because of where their alarm bot and everything is. And the recon dart pretty much identified the entire team is here on A.
Yeah, okay, yeah, team. Yeah, you know, they're going to be here. And the question is, Divine Child actually try and rotate, or they're going to try and push through? And the answer is a bit of a rotation. Goat's actually expecting that, getting into position. Not going to actually get in position quite fast enough or bold enough, perhaps. So it is going to be a successful rotation over onto that B. Don't touch my Rice. Able to take down Focus as well, is actually leading that rotation, getting a little bit of the scout as well. Now it's just a full-on send to B, which really is quite undefended. All the Killjoy utility was on A, which was appropriate for a little while, but this rotate might be a great call. Q Doggy's in position, but of course a little bit blinded, totally icy, but to run it back, not able to find much success. 30 seconds left. With the team here all together, they weren't able to burst through B. Oh, okay. No, they did. They are going to get that plant, and now it's going to be the retake for Gretna.
Dark cover is down here on main, and actually this is a very defensible position if you are post-plant holding, because they have to check you here, and they know that not everyone entered into sight. You have 2 holding here in the boathouse, and now you're just kind of raw peeking straight from the dark cover. The paranoia is going to come out as the fault line comes through as well, but they're going to tag up one with the owl drone, and much of the fighting is here happening on main. Goat and Eklo finding some big value. They get rid of Gray, and it becomes a 1v1. Merc has to defend it from distance, and they may just full hold this. There's still plenty of time. Oh, they're taken down by Goat, who's good for 4 and good for the defuse. A good find by Gretna.
Yeah, maybe a little misplayed though from Merc. I mean, one of those very high octane times where you're just trying to get going and do your best and all that, sure. But it maybe could have played around that a little bit more.
Oh yeah.
Thought they had taken, I think, a superior advantage in the 1v1 duel, I guess, and then, well, it did not actually go that way. So unfortunately, another 5 seconds of time, right? I mean, that bomb was pretty close to actually exploding. Sorry, the spike. My bad. No one's dying in this game, of course.
No one.
Anyway.
They just evaporate into mist and memories. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's totally fine. Yeah, not able to do that. So very tough game. But unfortunately, it means Divine Child still only with 1 against 8. And perhaps setting up for a similar tactic as the last game, especially if maybe they do get found out once again so quickly. But don't touch my rice. They maybe open up an opportunity in the last game. Couldn't actually see it through. Now a little bit of a slower pace. Oh no. Oh, that's very unfortunate. Because I thought maybe, they'd be found out, they'd be pushed back, they do the rotate again. It did look promising. But then they lose one. And then rotate, which is just not already not as great and with worse weapons.
And they're going to be met by focus, at least from this backside angle, which I wonder how this is going to get checked. Now, look at the infiltration we got from Don't Touch My Rice. They're ready for people to come in from this position, but it's actually going to be a full gang fight coming from out of screens. They're going to just hard peek it. They get rid of Gray, and they know they're trying to get here on the sandwich squeeze. Q Doggies was barely able to find Don't Touch My Rice, who was creeping in the corner. The hot hands comes through, and Q Doggies steps into it, but gets good for the trade.
Yeah, good for the trade. Merc's not going to be able to do very much more. That is looking to go Gretna's way. Yeah, unfortunately, Don't Touch My Rice, again, able to get that scout. I suppose that B was open, but then goes so far into the defender's side. I mean, it's kind of almost not giving ineffective scouting information, but the actual fact that almost all the attackers are pushing through mid. Obviously, the surprise that Divine Child wasn't exactly expecting, kind of able to bypass a true slaughter, I suppose. Kind of got on the tail end of getting into the B main, but yeah, it still ended up in a bit of a squeeze. Not favorable to them. Divine Child, maybe now looking to push through mid. They tried this once before, and it looked like it could have been effective, but this time around, it is Goat stopping them from finding any headway. A 3K already. A 3v2 situation overall. Still doable for Divine Child, but Q-Doggy's on the 3v1. It's all up to Gray. They got a couple of utility to use, I guess, but gonna be just good old-fashioned hiding in the corner and getting a shot to maybe get things going. They got the spike, and they're gonna be heading towards B, but that's where all the Killjoy utility is, and she is alive and well.
It's gonna be a rough one if they even get through this in the first place. They're gonna try and take out at least some of those swarm grenades and maybe put some more out onto that lane, but they didn't recognize that it would be this close by. The one bad thing is that if they're going to commit into a plant here, they could very well be overwhelmed just by the ult, but that's never going to happen in the first place. And, you get a theme song with that gun, but otherwise, it's 10-1. This one got out of hand in a hurry, Zombie, and honestly, it's just Divine Child looking for the next half to maybe be a little bit more successful. The buys haven't been good. You could maybe work off of this with your Hunter's Fury, but they've struggled to get onto site.
Yeah, I mean, the times that they have certainly been very promising. I'm recalling the time, of course, that they actually were able to win with a flawless as well, just remember that, but not really able to have it too often to give themselves some post-plant opportunities. We got Sova ult right off the bat. Fairly good guess, get a tag at the very least. No kills though. Divine Child gonna try it once again, pushing through that mid. Last time, Goat was a solid wall against it, however, and is once again looking to be the same. In position with tons of utility. Actually doesn't hit with that one, but perhaps just good old shots will take care of it. They do end up trading, and Focus gets taken out by Merc. 3v3 situation. Divine Child potentially finding something here. Spike is in mid. Definitely capable of picking it up. They don't necessarily know that. They're waiting out maybe a little more aggression. Q Doggies decides to pull back, displaying some of that patience we were applauding them for perhaps in the initial rounds, which might be well set up. There's the spike picked up, and a B site will be the plants. Divine Child will eventually, or sorry, Gretna will eventually figure this out and rotate on over. No Killjoy utility this time around.
Everything will be deactivated as they'll have all of a single bit of issue coming from Marketplace, but guess who? It's Q Doggies, and they've been able to get big value. That is a paper mache walling death. That's a hard corner. Q Doggies gets 2, and there's only 1 left. It's a Guardian and snapshots. Oh, a couple for Uchla into this 1v1.
They can now do it. 1v1, 13 seconds. They don't know what's going on. They got 1 flash. Maybe able to actually work with it, but they kind of need to pick up the spike and actually go for it.
Oh, no.
Oh, waiting a little too long. Unfortunately, that will be the round win for Gretna. Divine Child almost getting an opportunity for the second, but we're going to go into a swap at a huge disadvantage. Divine Child going to have to show some real power on the defender side to bring this map back.
Where could you even start with this? An 11-1 seems like such a mountain to climb. Like, I already struggle for my calves to get up those 30 degrees. Look, some of those ramps are tough, but this one feels like it's beyond 45. I don't know who has good enough grip. Maybe my cat. I don't know. But there's going to be a lot of setup, especially off of both Gray and Merc over here. This is going to be a hard B rush, as they're going to maybe just try to end this one early, especially this turns into a 5v2 very quickly. Make it 1, depending on where Gray actually finds information. I don't know if they're going to give him a chance to even think for victory.
Exactly. Not giving them a chance to think. It's going to be the problem here. Focus darting in as the tip of the spear, as you would expect, and taking down Merc quickly as well. Fortunately, the Killjoy not able to buy very much time. He's also get a little bit into that post-plant position. Divine Child coming in with the retake down 2, make that 3 members as Focus now with a 3K. Really feeling it on the attack side as a 4K comes in for them. Unlucky will get the last kill, denying them the ace, it's fine. But Flawless will be here for the 12th round, and match point for Gretna now.
Well, it's it's going to be a forced buy. That's really all you can do right now for Divine Child. They're in a rough situation. Buckies and Stingers and possible L's, oh my. It's been a bargain bin, if you will, both for victories as well as just general weaponry for them. This has been just one of those outplays. We have seen such great success out of Q Doggies, and if you have a great Sova on Ascent, honestly, your team is in big trouble, and Q Doggies has proven that hand over fist.
Yes, definitely want to echo that, but it really also feels like the team is there. You know, it's Q Doggy certainly with some highlights, but then obviously Focus just had theirs, Goat has had theirs, Unlucky has had theirs, Eklo has had theirs. They've all had highlights, and they've all been there if another, highlight member has fallen. We do have a bit more skirmishing, a bit more trading out here in favor of Divine Child, 3v1. And that spike, a little bit far away from Unlucky, who is certainly in an unfortunate position. Can't do the pun. They're going to try and do their best. Alarmbot to their back and try and take on, I believe they know is a 1v2. I'm not quite certain maybe where the third person is. Obviously, the defenders can wait out the time, which now it's time for them to display some of their patience. And Recon just caught them as well. So, I mean, Unlucky, what do you really caught between a rock and a hard place here?
It's not the foam pit I want to jump in. No, this one's filled with spikes. It's just gonna be Unlucky. Let's see if they can get a little bit lucky here on this plant. And everyone decides, you know what? It's trying to bowl their way in. They know they're right behind the boxes. It's the only safe place you can plant. And they're just gonna hang out right there. The alarm bot does alert them at least that they're overhead. And now it's about bringing the RKO from the top rope. But it's too many players, especially in round number 2. You're not able to win the power plays. So that's at least one to add a little bit more respect on. But it also was a near speed run for Gretna at this point. I want to see if they can find maybe this eco turnaround, maybe give them themselves a couple rounds. You can build off of this, but I feel like both. It's up to Gretna if they just want to be able to finish the fight, and it does look like they're gonna at least treat this as a proper eco.
Yeah. So many choices, so many gambles that team 12-2 in the lead can take. Really makes this such an uphill climb. Divine Child not getting a flawless in that last round either, not necessarily giving me like the most hope that defender's side is just going to be theirs totally and completely. They get this one as well, perhaps even in a little bit better fashion. And then I can start to believe, but again, Gretna has so many choices. They've already busted through quite quickly onto the sites. Gray does fetch takedown 1, however. Unlucky goes down. I mean, it's a good start for Divine Child, trying to pick some of these isolated fights, and it's working out well for them. Totally Icy finally appearing on the board a little bit more as well. Don't touch my rice, getting a little aggressive. Everything's coming together for Divine Child. They will unfortunately still lose 2 at the very least. Goats in Boathouse looking to do something. Transfers out into a lot of fire for Gray. Not much more to do there for a Goat, but still, Divine Child will in fact take this round. And so my hope builds a little bit. Okay, I believe in it. I believe in their retakes, actually. Seem to be going much better now.
How much hope? I need to know, like, on a scale of 1 to 100% hope.
Okay.
Like, are we like Christmas hope? Like, what
I mean...
Miracle on 34th Street hope?
I was going to say, Christmas can be very different for many people.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay,
no.
yeah.
So, second round victory, I was at like 5% hope.
Okay.
And now, third round victory, I'm at like a 12%.
Oh wow, that's a big jump. Okay, that's
Yeah,
a lot of hope to gain. Okay, well, rebellions are built on hope. So maybe we can see this defensive rebellion continue for the side of Divine Child. There's a lot of work to do. And this has been attack to the same kind of march and the same rhythm of this drum onto B, and they just continue to just wrinkle out and test all of the util kit and see if it has continued to just lay here. But they've now rerouted completely. I like that they've immediately marched over to tree, and Totally Icy's under fire.
Yeah, unfortunately, kind of got caught in that awkward position. It's like, oh, Alba. Oh, no, okay, never mind. Everyone else as well. Now, it does end up trading out, so a 4v4 situation. We got the plants onto that A site, so it is a change. Divine Child, as I was just saying, I mean, they seem to be able to do these retakes a little bit better from the first round loss on this half. And it does seem to be going that way. Merc takes down another one. Got some scouting going in, checking under Hell, and actually able to see what's going on here. Don't touch my rice, finds Unlucky, but then Focus gets 3! And, well, I was kind of building up slowly because I believed, okay, we're still good, but it's nothing. It's unfortunately not going to do anything. Gretna will actually take the 13-3. It was like, Divine Child, they got so many people, you know? Like, they're on site, I believe. Like, they can do this. And then Focus comes in with the 3K. And it is no longer any hope whatsoever. Gretna, still dominating performance. Divine Child showing some more life on the defender's side. But Gretna really had it all, didn't they?
They really did. Q Doggies, I think, was the initial kind of point of success, and they ended there with a 349 ACS as well. And Goat, Focus, Unlucky, everyone. Eklo even had moments as well. I mean, Initiator, tough life, tough living, but everyone had their moments, like you had mentioned, to really kind of shine. And Goat, I think, even with Q Doggies above them in ACS wise, 16, 5, and 14, did the Omen style of play to enable their squad to really take over not just mid, but shut them down every single time they wanted to rotate. And it was great adaptation where they wanted to play into either the operator, be able to flip that around. It is Gretna that was not at all shy about moving all of their set piece positions. I think that was really one of the big things that kept Divine Child kind of on their heels. They were never able to read them, and that's what kept them from being able to really properly get to site most often. Yeah,
actually, I feel like for Gretna, it basically came together from start to finish. First, you had Eklo kind of stopping any potential momentum buildup from some of the quick attacks onto that B. Then they kind of figured out that B might be the consistent target from Divine. Was it B or A?
I think A.
It was A.
They got the
sorry.
aftershock kill on A. That one was
Yeah,
cool.
exactly. No, you're absolutely right. It was A. I reversed myself. But they got the stop on the A, and then Unlucky, who was doing their job, gonna be on B and being like, yeah, I'm the Killjoy who's on the wrong site, and that's awesome. I'll wait till I'm needed. Then rotated around, started putting the utility in different places. That kind of shook up Divine Child a little bit too. Started getting our own pop-offs, and then of course we had Q-Doggy's Goat and Focus all combining together for a lot of these kills that came through, whether it was on just the pure defense or on the retake. It just felt like they were stopping Divine Child before anything really got going, individually in the rounds, but then also as a whole playbook in general. And it only started to change up a little bit when then Divine Child was on the defense, which, I'm kind of... I do agree with your assessment. I feel like that Gretna is just playing better right now, but I'm maybe a little more hopeful if we get to see Divine Child more so on the defense side of a map.
That's very true. And we will be running over to Lotus, which is going to have, I think, the best... I like to call it audibles, because you have those mid doors, and allows you to really move between A, B, and C pretty fluidly. You can go between walls, go between secret, and really have two sites in mind just as you are heading for one. Haven has too many solid walls in the way and too many links that are, I think, more defender dependent. Lotus, I think, allows for more adaptation, but that could play for Gretna. We go into game number 2, in fact, to that point, and I want to see how the controllers kind of mix into here, because double controller on this site has really been pivotal for a lot of success, and it's really built around good Vipers and Harbors, but Omens seem to be the mainstay, and there's a lot of duelists not quite locked in, but they're floating on them.
Yeah. Again, I guess seeing if they're gonna actually lock in. Come on. I mean, I assume they will, but so the expectation here, in line with Lotus, which has been a fun map to see unfold too.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, any new map came along. I don't know how long it's been now for Lotus, but it's always like, oh, this is impossible. This is stupid. And then it kind of settles, and we're like, all right, cool. This is awesome. But this is actually, I think, like the comp for the wait, who's coming into an attacking side this time? For,
I think it's a Divine Child attacking again.
Yeah, on attack again. Yeah, so totally normal for them. We might have a change up for Gretna. Lock it in.
Okay,
or not. Whatever you want to do.
All right. Okay. I've seen a bit of this.
Okay.
So,
all right.
So you get the raises. I think that's pretty much your mainstay. Sometimes you also get the Vipers to be able to kind of pick with this. And I think the most surprising thing is going with the double duelist off of a raise and Arena. Arena is very much a pocket pick. That's a comfort pick.
Yeah.
But the Chamber is going to be basically C and A centric, and wherever that golden gun goes could be huge. Unlucky, switching up the Sentinel. This is a hungry Sentinel. This is a vicious Sentinel. This is one that wants to get on the scoreboard much faster than their own duelist. So we basically have 3 stone cold killers right now on the side of Gretna.
Yeah, interesting change up, but I'm looking forward to it because Divine Child really choosing, I think, like literally the most typical, which could also work in their favor, of course, playing out the strategies that they have practiced on. But they are coming in on that attack side again, which, so it goes with the ban and chooses, but I'm a little concerned. I know it's a totally different map, but Divine Child were stopped, as I said, in each individual round. It kind of felt like the entire playbook in our last map when they were on the attack. Let's see if it can change up here on Lotus. It is a very different map. We got 3 locations here to hit. And perhaps they've learned a little bit about how their opponents play as well, so they can play a little more around that. They got a slow start here for our first round.
I do like the non-typical A strike. A seems to always be that first round kind of plummet. See if you can work through the paint shells and also around the snake bites, but it's unlucky that presses their luck. This is where Waterfall really comes into big play, because you put your chamber here and then you can be able to get that teleport around, and the trademark is there too for a slow. So it does look like C is going to be the main point of contention, and that actually is going to force everyone to hard rotate. Oh!
Yeah, unlucky getting that first shot off. Make that a second one as well. They do finally get taken down. So a boom bot apparently. Totally honestly saying something in return. Oh, we still have a 4v3 situation. Divine Child also fairly unhealthy. Quick is able to take down Totally Icy, leaving only Merc alone with a ghost. Do they even have much utility? They have 1 health, and they do manage to find a kill. But a 1v2 situation when you literally have 1 health, I mean, It's impossible. It's impossible. It's impossible. It's impossible.
It's impossible? Question mark?
Okay.
Oh, no. It was a single sidestep further onto site. And if they had been able to kill who was closer versus who was further, maybe the hero moment, legend, lore, and bardic stories would have been told. But for right now, the first does go over instead to Gretna. And I like that they tested out kind of your default. You had both duelists kind of pushing up into A rubble, and then you had your chamber who is going to be sticking around with Unlucky onto C and that kind of that mid mound positioning, because they can have just great utility off of that return teleport. But now they're going to at least test mid.
Already found out a little bit. I mean, still a lot of ways that they can play through this or even around it should they so choose. Once again, Gretna showing some of that patience, not getting drawn forward. They did, kind of mix it up in our last map. They did have, especially with their lead, opportunities to push forward, get aggressive. It was at one point totally pushed back. But in this case, once again, back to the old patient. They do feel up perhaps some more pressure coming in from the A side. Everyone concaves around, actually, the entry onto rubble. And it will be a rotate. We do have Unlucky holding the line for C, Quick holding the line for B. 5 members of the Divine Child now entering into that C site. Let's see if Unlucky can buy any time. They choose not to, which I think is absolutely the smart call. Back away right for the rest of the team.
Get everyone to come back to you, and they're actually be having to deal with the flank. I like this corner positioning out of Merc to have to deal with that, as they're going to be coming in from all sides. Top end of C, opposite side to them, and they're not getting checked, and they're going to get cross-cut killed because of it, and Ghost's going to have to slow down. They're going to get that call, but they're creeping in from the dark cover as well as Waterfall. Unlucky just behind him as well. Merc has isolated Goat, who is scared of a classic, but is still the power play with better weapons, and Gretna just finding them in their individual ways much more, I guess, lethally. So this will be a great retake, but they were down in guns here, zombies. So it's about what they can bring into the next round. I do like that, at least what we're seeing right now in the beginning of Lotus, they're unafraid from changing up on the rotations. I feel like they just do it a bit too quick right now.
That actually might be the case, yeah, but especially coming with that bad gun problem, trying to actually get onto that site and get into position, it caused some type of furious action. It can obviously benefit them. It did not in this case. They did lose out fairly harshly. They get to buy up this time around, and I just love that you brought up what I was going to say, which is that I do like that they're able to just kind of pick and choose, and they do decide decisively when they actually go for it, which I think will eventually come together as a team to actually get them some wins. It's going to be totally Icy leading the charge, getting Unlucky, who did take that offensive position a little bit more anyway. I mean, last round, they did pull back as soon as you realized what was going on. It ended up being the right call. This time around, caught alone, which I believe is more so what Divine Child was hoping for as they enter into the site rather quickly, this time with the guns, getting into their post-plant position in a 5v4 situation. Definitely the most hopeful situation so far for Divine Child. Let's see if they can actually bring it through.
Go from top end. Oh, but they're immediately going to be made vulnerable because of the snake bite. Oh, great pick by Focus. And that's really what was the big player they were able to run off of with Ascent. But on the turn, you do have at least a big kill out of Don't Touch My Rice, finally being effectual enough to find them some prominence. But it becomes a 1v4. You got a Guardian to head pop Uchla, but Merc has been constantly covering down here on Mound. So finally, we have the common split. You're not going to have to use that early timeout. This is just a regular effect to having that buy up. And now we'll find rifles on the other side. And I want to see where Unlucky maybe starts becoming a little bit more conscientious about how they want to build up in their tour de force, because that's really where big chambers shine here on Lotus.
Yeah. Oh, good to see. Good to see. Divine Child, again, quickly moving on to that C site, this time with a first pick, this time with superior guns. Actually able to get into some really fine post-plant positions. Able to really put it all together. Like I said there, I was hoping it to. I wasn't sure if it was going to be the next round in this map. Next time we see them, next time we cast them, but it actually was the next round. They were able to pull everything together. And as you said, now a very typical Valorant situation, 2v1. Gretna maybe a little more on that passive cautious side. It was that little poke forward from Unlucky that kind of started things for Divine Child. I know we have a ult here from Merc. I was wondering if maybe they're going to try and hit B pretty quickly, get that slap down, but no, it's actually going to be that's A sites that actually would be open. Focus all alone, aggressively placed here onto the rubble. Gets the scout, but then also gets scouted in turn. So now it's their time to really pop off. And the 1v1s, fortunately not able to do so for very long, just get traded out. Q-Doggies bringing out their own ult, actually. We got the rocket launcher getting a quick kill on Don't Touch My Rice, and Divine Child are still slowly making their way over onto that A site, knowing that actually they could be even maybe a little bit faster. Oh, wow, actually the fire there through the smoke doing a decent bit of damage. But Divine Child, they have still a shot, 3v4. They're going to get onto site. They might even get the plant. Q-Doggies with the kill. And quick as well. I thought they'd at least get the plant, and they will, but that's about it.
Oh, goodness. Now, at the very beginning of this round, I was actually very hopeful that they were going to utilize that lockdown plant to try and fully cover B, like you had mentioned. And they had done a great initial job of backing off and waiting for that guiding light peak that we've been getting a lot out of quick. And then they decided not to use it because they knew that they could tease A, and there was actually a quick rotation out of Q-Doggies to go and join focus onto Rubble on A. And I thought they would just use the play to be able to go into B. But I guess at this point, Showstopper has been used up. They don't exactly have the weaponry, so they're going to be in this kind of this sinkhole of funds. And Unlucky just wants to walk away over into box, but they're going to have to teleport to safety, and they're going to call for the early rotation, at least to just get some extra help, because so far on these initial touches, they've really been isolated into 1v4s, and now you have a Showstopper that's coming out of totally icy. Can they find a target?
That is a good question. It actually looks like they will not be able to this time around. Once again, Unlucky being able to pull back, give the comms, and then pull back even further with the Showstopper coming out. Gotta respect that, and they absolutely did. It actually ends up being a disadvantageous position for Divine Child as they come in one man less. What do they have going for them? They still have a couple of those ults to actually use it in the situation. However, it's a tough call, totally icy. The shotgun helping out. The plant will be coming through as Totally Icy grabs another one. Thank you very much. And now it is actually a decent position for Divine Child. They got the spike to play around as well. Don't Touch My Rice coming in with two very impactful kills. Only leaving Quick, who was taken down by Gray. Inferior weapons, pshaw, they got this. And they have to use their ults.
Inferior, I meant cheap. I meant affordable, you know. And in this economy, weapons, my goodness. All right, so let's set that scoreboard. Let's check it out right now. Quick at this point, they've been really helpful over to Unlucky to really kind of repel the initial attack, or even to be able to get those retakes working around with that C site. And we've not seen anything heading over to B. Lockdown may actually go into effect to initially repel if they can bury it up into this corner. It seems that's going to be at least the gameplay, and they do use that lockdown. So I think that really is the set piece right now. If they get to site, they can also utilize the Viper's Pit. That's going to be a lot of investment here into this 6th round.
Yep, so exactly. They pinged it on the map, and it will cover a wide space on Lotus, opening up the opportunity to get onto that B site. Gretna actually does get a player detained. It's going to be a little bit awkward. Divine Child get the plants, get set up, and we even have a little bit of a lure coming in on Don't Touch My Rice, waiting for someone to come in on the attack side. Not going to happen. Actually playing really attack-sided for this defense. Q-Doggies opens up an opportunity. Is going to chase after, in fact. We got the Showstopper out. Once again, though, looking like it's not going to find any success. Okay, tit for tat, I guess. Both players, both teams. They got the defuse halfway. Don't Touch My Rice finally coming into the action as well. Actually, from the east side, gets taken down. 3v3 situation. Spike continuing to tick down. Defuse might be going in. No, it is a fake. Q-Doggies in a 1v3, actually. As the cover comes down, it's just about the spreading through. Uklo actually end up winning out and taking down 2. It's Goat who's going to try and pick off anyone coming through the smoke, but no one will do so. They will live, but overall, Gretna with a 4th point now. Divine Child. I mean, that the plan was good and not quite able to cap it off.
I kind of hoped they would have full sent with the Viper Pit. I mean, if you got two big AoE ults like that, especially with the way that B is built, simply just lay it in. Get some shotguns, maybe just be able to get someone in a higher position up on the heaven. But otherwise, I was hoping they would full invest. But otherwise, it became body block central. I don't know how that dance played out. Everyone just kind of jiving in the middle. They got it halfway, and then it was eventually like, no, it's your turn. No, it's your turn. I don't know where I'm gonna put this rocket, man. But eventually, they got it done. So now it tends over to Gretna, but a favored site C tends to be here for Divine Child.
It's been working for them, you know, certainly more than anything else. So we do have a couple of ults on the side of Gretna as well, which we're choosing not to use. Don't Touch My Rice takes down 2, putting a Divine Child in a good position. Actually set up a little aggressively onto the defender side. Focus ready for it, however, it takes down Don't Touch My Rice. It's going to be the full send into the site. Divine Child playing again back more towards the attacker's site. They're going to be ready to come in as soon as they hear that Diffuse actually trying to come in. It's going to get to half point, or did it actually? I don't think it did. Spike Diffuser was killed. It's a 1v1 trade. Spike's still a problem. Once again, the Diffuse trying to come through, but not going to happen. Divine Child, Merc, especially with the 3K, going to be able to once again take it with that C site plant.
It's one of those plants that always is very smart and yet very scary for me, because I have played with the pixels when it comes to the AoE of proximity. Like, how far do I really have to expose myself? And let me tell you, that actually is a very interesting position. You put the dark cover down, you try to obscure it. They can spray as much as they like, and you try to secure it as well with the swarm grenades. But then it just comes down to nerves, because it's like, all right, I'm tired of this. They launch out from C main and they just go swinging for the fences, and you have a great position behind that mountain for defense. Now the Tour de Force is up. They have to be guessing that Unlucky is here, especially off of the squawk from the guiding lights. And Unlucky knows they've been found out. Everyone's going to early rotate away. And Focus won this fight. They took down Don't Touch My Rice, who's been teasing them this whole time.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like Focus finally getting some like vindication for their positioning. And they are still going to be a thorn in the potential rotate over into the A sites. They only have a Sheriff, but if they're using it well, that still is pretty scary. Also, a very aggressive push through B pillar here from the Rays. You doggies been feeling it last map, feeling it again here. Got the shotgun, totally ready for someone to inadvertently run through middle. Come on, just do it, please. Come on, please.
They won it. Look at this. This is... Oh.
Come on. It's happening. Totally icy, looking the wrong way. Of course, now they've been revealed. Let's see if they can count another. They are also blinded, throwing out the utility themselves, eventually taken down. Gray able to help out as well. Merc an actual kill. But it's an effective start for cheaper, as you now say, weaponry for Gretna. And so they've actually found themselves in a decent position. Goat with the Vandal also willing to come in and help out. Focus again with the Sheriff. Actually doing better than it feels like a lot of their previous rounds, despite their weaponry right now. 14 seconds on the clock. They got to go for the B site, where Unlucky is still waiting. However, doesn't get the shot. It's actually Goat that comes in to ensure the defense on the B site. Not the round necessarily expected Gretna to do so well in, but they did do very well.
I feel like cheap has such a negative connotation. I feel like I'm apologizing to these weapons and their families, okay? Look, affordable and is very nice. And that's what's been kind of tough a few different times, especially for the side of Divine Child. And they feel the pressure in this moment. You already see kind of what their banks are looking like. Do they want to full buy into this? Can they even do so? Merc is not going to have enough to be able to at least get an AR. They're looking at Sheriffs. Do they want to play around a power weapon? Uchla has an oblong amount of creds versus the rest of their team, where I think they're just going to be talking about this eco. Opposite end of that, it's not exactly super rich for Gretna. They've been able to find some key defuses as well as defensive stops, but they are tediously leading this Divine Child Falcons group by the nose.
Gretna definitely not having an easy time like they did in the first map. It's like Lotus has proven to be a little bit more difficult, particularly that C site. It's really been the thorn. But assuming they could actually patch that up, then they'd probably really start to lead. But it's been a struggle so far. Did have enough creds to fully buy up for Gretna, plus a couple of ults as well. Q-Doggies again with their ults. Really, the showstoppers have been kind of ineffective, I guess, as far as actually finding kills. But Space buying is always good. Time buying is always good. Timeout over. Divine Child, hopefully with a plan. If not for this round, then the next where they can actually buy. We got a lot of intel being, or util being thrown out for intel. There we go. As Gretna takes an offensive stance, but perhaps in all the wrong places. Definitely a mix-up of where they've positioned themselves. So when it all comes together, it might be a surprise, but Unlucky is left alone. Fortunately gets the kill as they desire to the TP out. And yeah, this they both really changed it up, didn't they?
Yeah.
And so far, it's a 1v1.
I mean, this is only the second time we've seen A. That's crazy to me, honestly. This is one of the most popular sites in particular, and then they finally will have to chase away Quick, who is able to get a blind. They're aiming for the rope, but they're straight up in the talk screen, so they're made not only decayed but very much weakened. Oh, quick drop by Unlucky, who again has their rendezvous, and they're facing off against just shotguns and more. Maybe looking for an ace. They're gonna try to hand it off over to him, but it is Q Doggies that's setting them up and knocking him down, not off the blast. They're trying to body block so he can ace him up. They get it done.
Nice. Yep, take it to the reel. Unlucky, getting actually quite lucky, I would say. You know, they got a pick, and then the Dark Cover actually kind of helped to cover them. Then they found the Omen reloading as well as they answered in. You know, Virgil's on the ace for certain. They're a big player in that team. Or the round that went so weird, right? Because I feel like it was clear that Gretna is like, okay, they've been succeeding with C, so they got to be hitting it again. Let's actually change it up to be aggressive in their face over there. Wait a second, they're going over to A. Okay, hold on here. And that did mess them up a little bit, you know? But they're still able to pull it through, figure things out, and actually get the point on the board. But Divine Child, now with the guns, as well as 4 out of 5 ults, this might have been what they were planning for in that timeout.
I mean, you got to think, what a time to pull the trap card when you're actually on slightly more affordable weaponry. They didn't have much when it came to just sheriffs, and yet they still were trying to trick them up. That's going to be a pop by Totally Icy. They're trying to get away, and that's going to be a showstopper and a poor turret doing nothing but looking at the sky. What it ever do to you? Quick is going to quickly be on the back foot, and that's actually a great decoy because they won't know that the goat is right behind this box. Showstopper to peel their way around, and they're going to save some lives. Wait, no one checked this corner, and now they're just flat spraying to the dark cover.
Not as successful as the goat was hoping for.
No.
You know, one of those situations where it's almost so perfect that that's what messes you up. You're like almost unbelieving, like, wait a minute, like, really? Unfortunately, wasn't able to get too many of the headshots, those head taps, to really line everything together, meaning that Gretna is down to just Unlucky, who, hey, just got an ace. So they must be feeling good about themselves, but they're in a 1v3 position up against that spike timer as well. They could definitely try and go for it. 1v1, isolate the duels, always your hope, but as soon as you try to actually defuse the spike, then you got 3 people coming in on you. So that feels like definitely not the play. They revealed themselves, but they have won the 1v1. Now they just need 2 more 1v1s to win. There's the fake on the defuse. Gray pops out. Gets the kill. Unlucky in a almost impossible position once again. Long as Divine Child played that out well, which they did.
They're just trying to make it at least a little bit more expensive. I think that one was great teaser play, but yeah, if everyone's not going to go right now, there is actually like a, hey man, great idea, discipline, but the dark cover wasn't going down anytime soon, so you lost all your targets. At that point, you kind of take out the raise because they got the showstopper, and that's basically the insta-kill button, and then you handle the rest that follows. They still got a trade, and it ended up being a big win over for Divine Child, who is kind of desperate at this point. They made Cred still fall out of the pockets of 3 of them, but now we're looking for options. They're playing with a much more methodical push, which might actually find them going directly into B, something they've always used as an adjustment point. Oh, the dismissal when they only got 5 HP, and Goat needs to set themselves up for an exit.
Yeah, that was real dicey. Something that, I mean, Reyna can kind of get away with to a certain extent, but they were really running into the full firepower of their opponent. So very, very close, but they are alive. Everyone successfully evacuates away from the Killjoy ult as well. which means they can come in for the retake. All men alive. Divine Child are unfortunately down 1, but getting into position. B plants can work out for them, especially if Don't Touch My Rice takes down 3. Well, then absolutely this can work out for them. Q Doggies with the op, kind of in a weird position with an operator, you know, more this mid-range, lots of places to be looking out for. They gotta have Goat helping them from a different angle. Unfortunately, Goat now is all alone. Will not be able to take down the 3 opponents, and Divine Child now make it 1 away from tying up the score.
Last round in the
Winnable. All right. Winnable. They've learned a few lessons and at least are keeping these fights to ones that they can really kind of build off of. You had the lockdown, and they've still yet to invest off of Don't Touch My Rice's Viper Pit. I don't know where that thing is going to go, but it must be the most valuable thing in the entirety of their arsenal. They haven't touched it. They've looked at it. They've gotten it judged, and they said it's a perfect 10 out of 10 and that it will not be used. Maybe this is the round we get to see it invested. I feel like they just want to be able to put it on A, but I have no clue as of yet. We go into the duo duel, and guess what? We're not using that ult. It's never getting used.
Yeah, apparently not. It's his precious, so it's fine. He just gets to live with it. As he watches his teammate, of course, his teammates try and actually make this round work despite that first pick off. We also now have an opportunity for a few members of Gretna to try and go for a bit of a pincer. I mean, if they're to be so bold, you know, when they have been a little more boldly placed, I feel like they have not really had it work out for them. I feel like they've been punished a little bit more, so they are playing it, you know, nice and safe. They certainly are still teaming up here. And what was potentially a pinch is now going to become a bit of a chase, actually, as Divine Child managed to choose the one path that was at least a little bit safe. I thought so anyway, but Q Doggies in the turnaround finds them trying to enter into C main. And now a 4v2, 4v1. Q Doggies with the 3K. Goats with the final pickoff. 7-5. And Gretna still in the lead, still in control, but this is such a heavily contested map. And now, with the change of sides, Divine Child, we can see, was it the defenders' action that was starting to kick in on the last map that gave them those extra rounds? Can they do a lot better here on Lotus on the defender's side? Or will Gretna still take the map and the 2-0 as they have looked so damn good here?
I can't wait to see like how they use, I guess, maybe the Viper for some of these set pieces. I've said that a bit, but it's because you can actually cut up much of the pathways that your main entries come through, be it A or be it C. And I've seen really, you kind of gang stomp onto there with 2 or 3 extra players, and it becomes so difficult to maneuver around. In fact, they already use the Viper talk screen to be able to go and get that ult. And maybe they're building towards yet another ultimate they'll never use. I don't know. They're planting for B, and this is a full site takeover in a 5v5.
I love the idea they're going to be the quickest to their ult and then I use
just
it for,
never.
Yeah, never use it. All right. Well, Divine Child, unfortunately coming in now down Merc. Bukla getting some decent scouting and a bit of a trade going through here. Goats taking down 2. It looks like we will have Gretna clean things up as they win their first attack-sided round. Very quickly, too. I mean, almost like they kind of sliced and diced with a shrapnel, you know? It wasn't flawless, I suppose, but it did feel very clean.
They definitely didn't take any time about, you know, like, do I want to go here? I don't want to go there. They were like, no, hey, B. B's pretty cool, B. And honestly, I've been seeing a lot of that for our opposite kind of brother 3 side of Haven. And B is kind of one of the hardest to defend when it comes to pistol rounds because you are so low on utility. So it's one of the least likely that you will repel. And then they immediately flex to C. You're going to have a talk screen and not much else ready for Don't Touch My Rice, but there's a lot of vulnerability. Q Doggy straight just don't care.
No, he does not. Just running on in there. The decisiveness here, the quick action onto the sites. Divine Child unable to really halt them, just stop them. Maybe trying to come in now, dodge away. Excellent dodge away into the 2K and the dismiss away. Focus now ending the round with the 3K, helping that become a flawless for their team. And now Focus, who was maybe a little bit cold towards the starts, kind of finding their place as Arena on this map in this situation, starting to really heat up.
It's actually a very kind kind of disheartening sort of random map. I mean, yeah, we've seen them go up into like a rubble, which I think is one of the few arenas here that's like the most effective, since you can be able to just isolate them as they come through that main corridor. But otherwise, you're working through a lot of walls, especially when it comes to C and it comes to B. But A, they seemed very comfortable, and that's where they always went to go meet Don't Touch My Rice, and maybe that's why we saw so many limited times and chances they actually went for A, because Focus was there to fight them, and Merc got the blind fire. Q-Doggies is down.
Unlucky, quick to trade back there. Totally Icy has fallen as well. The spike was also planted as their quickness is still seeming to work out for them. Unlucky running away. Unfortunately, can't run far enough. Gray takes him down. 4v3 advantage to Divine Child. They do have eyes on the spike, but to actually make their way over to it, knowing that there's 3 of their opponents waiting in these wings, it's going to be tough stuff. Don't Touch My Rice, aggressively moving out, trying to take one down. Gets taken down by Focus. Goat also finding one, but it is still Divine Child with one more man to work with. The fake defuse, or what might have been real, doesn't matter, because Gray ends up picking up the kill, and now go for the defuse, which they will have time.
Yep, plenty of time.
Plenty. No worries, no sweat.
Never any doubts there. Also, round 3 Odin, I think, has the same kind of stank and attitude as a round 3 operator. I don't know. I buy it whenever I'm a Sova on Ascent. I am that kind of person. I don't mind if you're mad at me. That's fine. But
I think totally fine on Ascent. Totally
it's in the game. I have the creds. I will buy it. No one can stop me. And at this point, it's kind of been it's been a slightly stoppable Gretna, as you finally get at least a defensive round 1, denying the at least double-digit position. But that was also off of a better buy situation for the side of Divine Child. And now it looks like they're already hard leaning, at least nearby, onto C. But I like this kind of 3-1-1 split, seeing if you can get any big picks, if there's any kind of this cheat leaning and peeking out into both B and A. Yet C seems to be kind of that cinched up setup that they want to push into.
Yeah, definitely a change up though, finally, right? So they had basically 3 rounds where they were just go, which still almost worked in their favor in the last round. Almost. Now it's a little bit more that patient, looking for those duels perhaps, and now everyone coming together for what is still going to be pretty quick onto the site. Don't Touch My Rice though, coming in. Oh, coming in for the 2, and maybe a helpful, at least, actually, they're still being helpful. They didn't actually get any damage done further, but they were there. They were a presence, helping out the rest of their team. Divine Child, now with only 2 left to deal with, but one of them is Focus, who's really been feeling it, as I've been saying. They do have their ult, but in a 1v4 situation, they might just go ahead and try and yeah, rotate around, obviously, get the opportunity to do that, and then set up. Why not try it? They might succeed with it, but then actually succeed winning the round. That would be a different question.
Yeah, this is going to be a long marathon, and already it's totally Icy that wants to be the first one there to greet them, and that's an Empress that I think eventually is set to pop unless they are able to feed right now, and there's the ultimate now falling off. They will get some damage. Got to get a plant here in the next 4 seconds, and they're going to plant for backside hut. A weird angle, but at least one where they have all their sight lines open, and a Focus and an Reyna. I mean, this is winnable in a 1v3 regardless. I don't care what anyone says.
I think it is as well, especially with another one going down there. Merc peeking their head out without any really crossfire being set up. Now Gray looking the wrong direction. Focus! Definitely feeling it at this point. Everything coming together for what could be a banger of a round, and it absolutely is. That's an ace for Focus as they put 10 on the board for Gretna. Oh, again, they might have been a little bit slow going in the first couple of rounds, but they are finding their pace here as we enter into the double digits for Gretna.
0 assists, who needs it? You're Arena. Devour, that is built into their kit. At 10 goes the likes of Gretna, and Focus finally coming into full focus right in the middle of the camera. And goodness gracious, you know everyone's cheering for him for that one. No one should ever doubt multiple numbers versus Arena, especially one that's able to hit their shots. So now you find the eco situation again for Divine Child. Now one they want to be in, one they've often seen, and I mean they could basically waltz up into C right now if they just felt like it.
They absolutely could. Of course, again, they've been showing a little bit more hesitation than perhaps the first couple of rounds. But there we go. Nope, the call has definitely been made still fairly quick, and it was wide open. So, unfortunately, Divine Child they're going to be maybe getting a taste of their own medicine, having some trouble with the C site. They do have all members alive, but the weaponry is not looking good for them. Only the Omen ult to work with, particularly helpful here. They will Skybird first try and get this thing going, but not really working out super well. Goat gets 2. And it seems like Divine Child will eventually fall. Don't touch my rice. Going to be trying to come in here. Does check the top side. Get some damage done, but ultimately doesn't find the kill. So, Ukla, I mean, you're going to go for it, I guess. We're going to save this weapon.
What? Bucky's the best weapon. Come on.
Yeah.
They'll stick around. They will make sure to die. They don't want to become someone's kill. Oh,
get him.
Nearly get them in the back. Go, can they run away? Oh, they actually won't be able to. So, Uchla, make sure to go get some bonus credits, and they will actually find a recovered. I don't know if they already had a Vandal or not, but 11 becomes Gretna, and Divine Child becomes disheartened. This is a rough situation. You have what? A Viper's Pit that refuses to be used. They better use it in round 18 or round 19 at minimum. Like, use it before you die. We've not seen one the entire series, and you've had 2.
Yeah, I feel like Lothar is like pulling his hair out somewhere for some reason he doesn't even know about. Like it's definitely a problem, you know.
It got used.
Well, yeah, yes, yeah. You know, it's not the best one though, but it's it's absolutely one of those situations where you could wholly argue that there hasn't been a perfect opportunity for it. That's fine. Like I could definitely accept that. And these guys are much better than I am, absolutely. But it always feels bad keeping an ult for that long. It is used. It's not particularly useful. That also feels very bad. And now you're like, well, I shouldn't have used it. Gosh darn it. But it is what it is. We got the tangos going down here, and it actually is a tango. But it is Gretna leading, at least temporarily. Yeah, 2v1 situation now. Merc found out. Spike also play around 2, so Gretna definitely looking at a 12th. Perfect lineup on the shot there from Focus. 12-6.
That's a crispy shot. Focus had apparently done a little bit of aim labs between, I guess, the first half and the second half, because they have absolutely come to play. But, I mean, we continue to call out GOAT. I continue to call out GOAT because GOAT really is living up to their namesake right now. They have been so good between Ascent as well as now over here into Lotus. And, I mean, this is a rough situation. We basically went to Walmart. They told you that your coupons were bad, and now you're left with Bulldogs, Judges, and Hopes and Dreams. Totally icy. They got a showstopper. Got to get value out of that, I guess, out of that ultimate. And actually, they're going to be holding down Tree if anyone wants to play with them.
Going to Walmart with coupons being denied. That's a low point, I think, for anyone. Q Doggies. And trying to look for a kill. Unsuccessful. Again, I don't know. I feel like none of them are successful. But an A site will be it. Oh, okay. Another unsuccessful one. Totally icy. Unable to start. Much less finish. And Divine Child. This is their last round. They do manage to find one more. They got to Sova ult. Sky ult. There we go. Coming down to complicate things further. Gretna playing around the time as well. They still got Focus in play with Empress too, and everything is coming together for the Gretna 2-0 in this series. Oogla's going to try their best to make something happen, but it just won't. Focus coming in so hot in the second round. Will get the final kill. Feels like it's right, you know? And Gretna will indeed get the 2-0 in the show match.
The fact that Focus 360'd into that final, they jumped in the sky, they were full Empress, and they decided, you know what? How about a kickflip with Flare? Good God. All right, 22 and 10. Who needs assist? Clearly not Focus. Don't touch my rice. That was exactly who they were trying to duel against whenever they were on the attacking half. And, well, we saw who eventually came out the better when it came to their own attacking half. Gretna. No, they don't need a map 3. They did it in 2. Zombie, this team, I mean, they look goated, especially with GOAT.
Yeah, they looked excellent. And I again want to shout out kind of like the cascading factor to their team, right? Everyone had their moments, because even as we see Quick not particularly high up on the scoreboard, right? Which you always want to be high up on the scoreboard. But you got to remember like what they did in the rounds, how they were effective, even if they didn't necessarily get that amazing KDA. And for this particular map, I would say that they were a great anchor for the first couple of rounds, right? They're actually there kind of making sure that things didn't snowball out of control when we had Divine actually doing fairly well on their attacking side. So Yeah. It was a team effort, totally and entirely, but definitely also some more highlight moments from their highlight players.
Oh, definitely. Their peaks were peaking, and their lows kind of didn't exist. They were absolutely dominating from end to end, and a great job done by Gretna so far through not just the previous back-to-school tournament, and now through this big show match. So I'd say, I don't know, where does this kind of lend to you? Do you want to go with focus? I feel like they really started and then kind of cemented themselves through Ascent and ended it hard on Lotus. I'd have to lean between them and Goat.
Yeah, you know, Q Doggies definitely had their first map really highlighted, but they maybe fell off a little bit here. So it is very difficult to tell. These top three are just excellent choices altogether. But I guess I'll go with focus. That might be some recency bias, but yeah.
I'm okay with recency bias. Why not? Hey, look, they hit a 360 at the end. Why not? They were able to get a great ace, and we also got an ace earlier by Unlucky. This squad pulling out double aces, and I think, you know what? Just run from the top of the KDA stack. Focus, MVP in my books, and honestly, this team just looked really good. You got to think Divine Child. I've seen their esports program before, and you know they may take this one Michael Jordan personally, and they may go back and cook a little bit, see what comes back. We may see another show match again just so they can get even.
They might, and I would love to see it, because I do feel like there was times where they definitely showed some promise, and everything came together a little more consistently, then that would certainly have been at least a closer Lotus, that is for sure. Ascent was a little difficult. Maybe try a different map next time, or perfect it, whichever the one they want to go for. But that is going to be it here. Thank you so much, guys, for watching this LOS Scholastic Champs show match between the two weekend champions. Gretna does come out as the favorites here today, a solid 2-0. Excellent group effort from all of them. That's going to be it for us. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks to League OS for powering the event. Thank you, Hail Monkey Man, as always, for carrying me in this cast. And thanks all for watching. Hoping to see you guys back here soon for more of these tournaments. Otherwise, follow the channel. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes. Hope you all had a good time. And now let's rate someone cool. Bye, guys.